The wait is over. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails is now open. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel. Open 7 days a week starting at 11 a.m. daily. Freshly made Southern cuisine with signature cocktails and lunch specials daily. The location for your next event with Simply Sonia's catering specials. Open now. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel in Winston-Salem.
Kim Source Direct is a single source supplier. In business since 2007, they have over 80,000 products for customers just like you. Located in the heart of North Carolina, they supply cleaning products all throughout the Southeast. Whether you're a commercial business, office, or municipal building, looking for wholesale cleaning products, chemicals, cleaning equipment, or service, they've got you covered. Please reach out and start saving money today. Stop by their store open to the public and save. Kim Source Direct, 1207 South Park Drive in Kernersville. Give them a call at 336-515-9990. Order from the website at kimsourcedirect.com.
Like to have everybody's attention for a moment.
There's a stat. I don't like bringing up stats, but there's one stat about the Panthers.
In the world is James Harden better scorer than Michael Jordan?
No, he's a more creative in that.
Traveling is not creative, Brandon.
You know, no matter what the score is, and they've said it themselves, whether they're up 10, down 20, whatever, they know they can turn it on whenever.
Why did you have to bring up the Cowboys in this conversation?
Lived in Texas for 2 years and just could not stand to watch Cowboys football.
All right, listen up.
Welcome to The Rundown. Here's Desmond Johnson.
What's up? What's going on? It's Saturday morning here on The Rundown with Desmond Johnson, live on WWBG 1470 AM here in the Triad. TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. You can listen to us there. Facebook Watch. You can listen to us there or watch us there. Desmond Johnson, Brandon Blakney, Hot Rod Funderburk in the house for pre-snow apocalypse episode of The Rundown, I guess. I think Brandon sent some of that snow down here, Rod, because apparently we're going to get some of it here. We're going to go through it.
Yeah, he sent snow. He sent cold weather. We're going to have to put Brandon across our knee and give him a good old-fashioned spanking for sending all that back.
Man, we don't even know what we're getting. Like, we have no idea what we're getting. Like, whatever snow just fell in North Dakota, like, yesterday, that's going to be here, like, on Monday.
Man,
and,
y'all don't know nothing about no snow, man. Cut it out. I'll show y'all outside.
We're trying
right
not
now.
to know, We're trying our best not to know.
Yeah, we don't want to know. We don't want it. It was just 70 degrees outside, like, last week, and now we're about to get, like, half a foot of snow on Sunday. Going through it, wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to do this show today. Started having COVID symptoms yesterday. COVID's been in my house all week. My youngest tested positive on Monday. Man, this Omicron variant, no joke. It's super contagious. I'm feeling a lot better this morning. Got to bed pretty early last night. Kind of almost felt like I sweated it out. So feeling a lot better. Shout out to everybody that checked up on me yesterday while I was kind of going through it. But luckily, I've been vaccinated, so this probably could have been a lot worse than it was, or what it is, I should say. But hey, I mean, I think at a certain point, everybody's going to get touched by this by the time it's over with. So if you can, get vaccinated, and trust me, it'll be better off for you.
Yeah, it's definitely been running rampant, man. I know a lot of people who have caught this last variant the last couple of weeks. I've talked to a lot of people. Some people vaxxed, some people are not vaxxed. And to be honest with you, I'm actually surprised because the results have been the same for the people that I know that have been vaxxed as well as unvaxxed. Of course, they're all in the same age category. Very light symptoms of the Omicron or really body chills, headache. And that's really about it. Maybe a small temperature, but they've gone the course of 5 days and it's kind of been over with. So although the Omicron variant spreads very rapidly, I don't think it is as severe as those other variants that came out earlier, at least from what I'm seeing from the people that I know. So hopefully that's a good sign.
That's how I kind of knew that I was going through it, because I had the cold chills. Like when I woke up yesterday morning, that was the first thing I noticed when I got out of bed, that I was just having like extreme cold chills. And I took my temperature. It's 100.6. So yeah, mild fever, body aches, my back, my legs were hurting for some reason. So I don't know. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It wasn't fun at all. And I'm saying it like it's over. Like, I mean, I'm still probably contagious as hell. So luckily we do this remotely the way we do. So we got a lot to get into this morning. Just shout out to everyone who's checking us out. Again, if you go to the Facebook Watch post of this particular episode, you can actually participate in the rundowns. One of the new things we're doing since we came back, where you can actually ask questions, you can put comments, things of that sort up on the screen on that Facebook post, and it'll come to us here where we're able to actually comment on it. So if you've got a question or something regarding something we're talking about this morning, throw it up there. We'll give you credit for the question, and we'll do our best to answer it as we can. Starting off NFL Wildcard Weekend, a little bit later on in the show, we'll circle back around to get to Sunday and Monday's action. Wanted to focus on today's action in this particular segment here and get you guys' thoughts on what you think is going to happen here. Loaded slate. Actually, first time we're ever going to have wildcard games on a Monday night. But for today, starting off 4:15 p.m. on NBC, Derrick Carr and the the Las Vegas Raiders taking on Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals were just like, you know what I mean? Like horrible like a year or so ago. And they have turned this around. Like what? There's something about Joe Burrow that just kind of screams cool to me. I don't know. It's just like the way he carries himself. And maybe I'm late to the party, but I noticed it at LSU. And I've noticed it since he got there. Some dudes are just like program changers, I guess. And I think you could qualify Joe Burrow as that at this point. Would you count Joe Burrow as a top 6, top 8 quarterback in the league right now?
I mean, the numbers don't lie, y'all.
I mean, that's true. He just had torn ACL last year?
Yeah, he tore it on the Washington football team. That field has claimed a lot of ACLs. But I think, too, man, you got his boy Jamar Chase. Numbers-wise, has been the best receiver in the AFC this year, Rookie of the Year. In my opinion, setting the league on fire right now. He's been a big deal. The offensive line got a little bit better, and Joe Mixon has had a hell of a season himself.
So it's almost like they had some of the parts there, and they've just – do you think it's a lot of – they just drafted well on offense, or how much of this do you attribute to Joe Burrow? Because I attribute a lot of it to Burrow. If it was like, say they had Tua Tagovailoa there instead of Joe Burrow, I don't think that they're in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that he seems more of a leader than a lot of other quarterbacks that got drafted. Rod, tell me what have you seen from Joe Burrow that you like or dislike about him? Because I find it hard to find things to dislike about the kid.
To be honest with you, I like Joe Burrow's swag. When he comes in, he lets you know that he is there to work. He is there to get the job done. And he has that confidence about him. Some people call it the it factor. Some people says he has it. But he also has a couple of other its. Those couple of other its are those, and Brandon touched on it earlier, the wide receivers. Jamar Chase is doing his thing. Those guys have also had a relationship at LSU. That makes a difference, when you have chemistry with someone where you spent years throwing the ball to them. They spent years getting the ball from you. It's almost like Aaron Rodgers, and what's Aaron's receiver out there? I can't even think of his receiver's name.
Adams.
Anyway, Adams, exactly. It's like Aaron Rodgers and Adams. They can look at a play, look at the defense, then give a look to each other, and they know exactly what's going to happen. Same thing with Chase and Burrow. I mean, Burrow is just the man when he's got Chase there with him. And Joe Mixon is a heck of a compliment. And like I said, Burrow, he has that it factor, that air of confidence. And the other thing is Burrow is more athletic coming off that ACL injury more so than I thought. Because I don't know if you've seen it, but when he sends Mixon out on patterns, his receiver out on patterns, and those linebackers have to drop back in their coverage, Burrow will take off, and 9 times out of 10, he's not only picking up the first down, but if they're close to the red zone, he's going into the end zone, and nothing is stopping him, man. So, I like what I'm seeing from Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, and it reminds me way back when they had, I think it was Carson was playing for them, or was it Palmer? I can't remember who was playing for him.
Yeah,
was Carson Palmer playing for him?
Yeah.
And when they made it, I can't remember how far they made it, but they were looking really, really good, man. And that team just reminds me of that with Burrow under center.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. They're really fun to watch, man.
They are fun to watch. I caught myself kind of caught up in one of their games a week or two ago. And I'm like, dang, I'm sitting there watching the Bengals. Like, what am I doing? But they were fun. They were fun to watch. They're a dangerous team.
Was that the Bengals, Kansas? Was
It
that
might
the
have been.
Bengals Kansas City game?
Yeah, and they won that game. And it
Yeah,
was
they
just
knocked
like,
him off.
Right.
I think Jamar Chase had
I-
like 3 touchdowns.
It makes me feel bad because as a Carolina Panthers fan, to be sat here and told that, this is going to be a long process. This is going to take 3, 4, 5 years for us to build this up. And then to see a place like Cincinnati basically fix this in like a year and a half, it's just, it hurts. It hurts my soul. And I've got, I've got Kevin Avery from the 4-Man Rush and Jason Huber from Crave blog. They're going to be on in about 30 minutes to talk about the hole that Matt Rhule dug for himself on WFNZ a couple days ago, and just the state of affairs with the Panthers. But the other side of that Saturday game at 4:15, Derrick Carr and the Las Vegas Raiders, they were basically left for dead. It almost feels like 2 separate seasons. Like it's almost like we've forgotten that John Gruden started off this year as the head coach of the Raiders, and that happened. When did that happen? Like 3-4 weeks into the season, and for them to be able to still play hard and to make the playoffs is crazy to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, the Raiders
man.
were the last team. The Raiders were the last AFC team, to win. The Chargers had to win to get in, and they lost. And I think the Colts had to win to get in. The Colts lost. The Raiders had to win to get in, or they had to tie. What did the Raiders do? The Raiders lost. The Raiders won. So the Raiders were the only team at the end of the season when it was time to get in, they were ready to go. And if you listen to an interview John Taylor had, the running back for the Raiders, he gave so much credit to the Derrick Carr being a lead, but not. He showed the Derrick Carr. He said Derrick Carr would show him his blocking assignments and protective assignments and how to move around in the back of the pocket and where to go and how to recognize blitzes. I mean, you're talking about Derrick Carr taking an extra step and moving like that. And then on top of that, the Raiders can score points. So, I mean, the Raiders, this is going to be a good game today between the Raiders and the Bengals. But I'm going to tell you what, man, if the Bengals are not careful, the Raiders will head over to Cincinnati, and there could be an upset brewing this evening over in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. Telling you that right now. Keep a watch out on it.
Well, that was going to be my question for both of you. Who are you going with in that game? The Raiders going on the road to take on Joe Burrow and the Bengals. It feels like anytime Joe Burrow is in a game of consequence, he wins it. Like, if it's the national championship or a game to clinch a playoff spot or whatever it might be, it's like it's hard to bet against him. And plus they're at home, and I'd imagine it's super cold up in Cincinnati right now. Who do you got in that game? Raiders and Bengals, 4:15 today on NBC.
I'm going with the Bengals, man. Like you said, it's hard to bet against Joe in these pressure-packed games. I do think the Raiders are a scrappy bunch, and regardless of the outcome of this game, fellas, I think this year should be considered a success to them compared to what they've been through with Gruden. Henry Ruggs killed a guy. They lose their number 1 draft pick. People aren't talking about that. They're talking about
the Henry Ruggs thing. That was this year too. Yeah, man, I completely forgot about that.
And they had another guy on there in their secondary that like beat his girlfriend up too and got kicked off the team, a cornerback. And people aren't even talking about that now. They're talking about the resurgence. And I think you could find a better leader for this group in particular than Derrick Carr. I mean, he's genuinely a nice guy. He's been performing. He's been the glue that held this group together. But I think the Bengals just have too much firepower for them guys. But I think it's going to feel like a Big 12 game, man. It's going to be a shootout.
Rod, your thoughts real quick. Raiders and Bengals, 4:15 today.
Man, I could see this game being a great game. I think this game is going to be a fun game. I could also see this game going into overtime. We know how many times the Raiders have been in overtime. I think we just saw the Bengals going to overtime with the Chiefs. So, overtime is not beyond what could happen today. So I'm hoping for a good game. When it comes down to it, I am going to be cheering for the Raiders because I've always liked the Raiders way back when they had the Raiders starter jackets. And Ice Cube and the boys used to wear all the Raiders gear, them and the rest of the crew. Man, yes, sir. They, Raiders was big time. And then I got some real good friends, Juan Davis, Tony Perry. They are big Raider Nation fan guys. I've gone to some games with them so that they can on their stuff. And because has a lot of these are big time Raiders fans. I do want to see the Raiders win. I'm going to be cheering for the Raiders. But to be honest with you, I do believe that the Bengals will pull this out at the end, but I will be cheering for the Raiders, and that's because of my personal interest.
And the Raiders got the spirit of John Madden with them too now.
Hey, there you go. If you got anyone watching us on Facebook Watch right now or on Twitter, if you've got any questions or want to hop in on the conversation, you can do so. Just type in your question or comment on the Facebook post with this video on it. We'll see it here in the studio, and we'll put it out there for debate with everyone. Real quick, before we hit the break, the night game tonight, I feel like I'm set because like I can't go anywhere being in quarantine, but I'm just looking over like what I got over the course of today. We got Conor ONeill coming on here in the next segment to talk a little ACC hoops action with us. But at 8:15 on Saturday night on CBS, you got the New England Patriots and Mac Jones taking on the Buffalo Bills, where if I'm not mistaken, it's supposed to be like 4 degrees or something outside in Orchard Park for this game tonight. Can Josh Allen overcome his cold weather demons? Who you got in that game? I see a lot of people picking the Bills, and they should because they are at home. The Bills were the darling pick at the beginning of the year, kind of fell off about midway through the year. I feel like they got their mojo back, but I'll be honest with y'all, man. I don't trust the Bills because the Bills can't run the football. And like for where they are, like in the country, in Buffalo, New York, for January going into February, you have to run the football to be able to advance in the playoffs. You're not going to be able to depend on Josh Allen throwing it for 300 yards in 4-degree weather. And I don't know if they can run the football against the Bill Belichick Patriots defense. Real quick, who do you got on Bills versus Patriots tonight? Let's start off with Brandon.
Yeah, it pains me to say it, fellas, but I really feel like the Patriots are going to find a way to get this game, man. It's just the Bills haven't been very good against them. And you talk about running the football, the Patriots will pound you into the ground until you got nothing left. They are going to run that football. And I think that'll what it comes down to. But I think, too, the Patriots have a really good defense. They've done a really good job of rebuilding this defense fast. They've got some familiar faces that have come back and really just impacted this defense. I think they're big, they're physical, and they kind of bullied the Bills the last time they played, surprisingly. I think the Bills are the more talented team, but like you said, if Zach Moss and Devin Singletary and these guys aren't able to get upfield and make some plays, man, it's going to be a long, long night for the Bills. I'm taking the Pats, man.
Rod, who you got, Pats or Bills? Real quick here before we go to break.
Yeah, I hate for it to be unanimous because usually that means it goes the opposite way of every. But like you guys. It's hard to go against the Pat. And one of the things that I'm looking at is when you're playing Bill Belichick, and this is kind of like a divisional game. To me, it's hard to beat Bill Belichick twice in a month, guys. I mean, he's supposed to be the mastermind. He's supposed to be the GOAT when it comes to coaching football. And you're talking about beating him twice in 1 month. Granted, Bill Belichick has a rookie at quarterback in Mac Jones. But he does have Josh McDaniels working with him. And even in the first win that the Patriots had against the Bills, I think Mac Jones only had to pass the ball 3 times, and they were still able to win this game. So I think with Bill Belichick defense, a well-thought-out Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick offensive scheme, knowing that the Bills have beaten the Patriots once already within the last month, I do not see the Bills beating the Patriots twice in 1 month. And I don't see any team right now beating the Patriots in 1 month. And just for that simple reason, and I know it's not it didn't go really into the football, but I just think the Patriots will come on top.
I gotta agree. And I'll be honest. I kind of think the Patriots are gonna make the Super Bowl. They remind me of the 2003, 2004 Patriot teams with the young Tom Brady, run the football, let the defense win the game. Brady was more of a game manager. He didn't have to throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns and all the nonsense he's doing now at age 85 or whatever. But back then, he just literally had to hand the ball off, throw those little 5-yard slants. He dinked and dunked down the field. I mean, this sounds familiar. It's Mac Jones. I mean, he's basically Brady 2.0 or some version of what they had Tom Brady as in the early 2000s. I'm kind of looking at like Pats versus Chiefs somewhere down the line here. And that's what I'm thinking is going to happen out of the AFC. We got way more coming up here after the break. When we come back, Conor ONeill is going to join us. We're going to talk some ACC hoops. We're going to talk about Duke. Do they have a flaw And then also, who are the top 4 teams in the ACC so far as we've gotten a little bit into the season? You are locked and loaded into the rundown with Desmond Johnson.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
The wait is over. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails is now open. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel. Open 7 days a week starting at 11 a.m. daily. Freshly made Southern cuisine with signature cocktails and lunch specials daily. The location for your next event with Simply Sonia's catering specials. Open now. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel in Winston-Salem.
Kim Source Direct is a single source supplier in business since 2007. They have over 80,000 products for customers just like you. Located in the heart of North Carolina, they supply cleaning products all throughout the Southeast. Whether you're a commercial business, office, or municipal building, looking for wholesale cleaning products, chemicals, cleaning equipment, or service, they've got you covered. Please reach out and start saving money today. Stop by their store open to the public and save. Kim Source Direct, 1207 South Park Drive in Kernersville. Give them a call at 336-515-9990. Order from the website at kimsourcedirect.com. Blue Naples Pizzeria in Kernersville is now hiring. Come work for one of the best Italian restaurants in the Triad. Currently hiring dishwashers, cooks, front cashiers, and more. Great hours, great pay. Give them a call at 336-993-7707 or stop by and inquire at 1519 Union Cross Road in Kernersville. Start working this week. Blue Naples Pizza.
Father Time is undefeated. It's going to hit Tom Brady eventually, too. It might be this year. Hopefully it's this year.
And Matt LaFleur went to both of them and said, hey, remember that play you drew up on notebook paper on Thursday? Yeah, run it now.
Like, that's the thing that's kind of tripping me up here. We've been clowning Kyrie Irving and his behavior for the past 5 years. I feel like I just got a point, like on a show or something.
3, 2, 1, Kernersville, you've got state champions coming back home. The East Forsyth Eagles have just won Class 4A state championship.
On the line with NASCAR superstar Bubba Wallace. Bubba, what type of music are you listening to right now? Do you listen to anything particular to get you hyped before a race?
I'm in like the heavy metal stuff, like the screamo stuff, the stuff you can't understand. That's right up my alley.
Tie game at 41. Murr takes the snap. Fade. Right corner of the end zone for Timmons. He
Oh,
bobbled
my
it
God.
and then honed it in the right corner of the end zone. Terrell Timmons Jr.
TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, your home for Triad Sports.
You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio, your home for Triad Sports.
And you know this, man.
Back to the rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Welcome back to the rundown. It's Saturday morning pre-snowpocalypse. We're here with Desmond Johnson, Hot Rod Funderburk, Brandon Blakney, and joining us, Conor ONeill from Demon Deacons. Demon Deacons Illustrated, correct?
Yeah, Deacons Illustrated and then Devils Illustrated for the Duke coverage.
You took over for, you just started doing the Duke beat too. So it's been a minute since we had Conor on. We'll have a little fun here. ACC Hoops weekend. Want to thank everybody just listened to us on WWBG 1470 AM in the Triad, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. If you're watching us on Facebook Watch, you can actually ask Conor questions about the ACC during this segment. Just type it in on the video box there. It'll pop up to us here in the studio, and we'll put it up on the screen and pick the brain of Mr. Conor ONeill as we get into this loaded ACC Hoops weekend. I wanted to just kind of to start off with, I wanted to go through what's happening today because it looks like most of the conference is playing today. 2:00 p.m. NC State traveling over to Durham to take on 8th-ranked Duke. Just let's stop right there for a second. Conor, what have you heard regarding Coach K? Will he be back on the bench today? I know he missed the game versus Wake Forest with a non-COVID related illness. What have you heard regarding Coach K and his status for today?
There's nothing official, but all signs point to him being back today. That was kind of the expectation when I reached out to a couple of people yesterday, and we talked to Nolan Smith yesterday on a Zoom call, and he said Coach K had been back around practice and been back around the facility and been in good spirits and energetic. So you put everything together. You don't have the official word that he'll be back, but you have all the signs pointing to the all-time winningest coach in college basketball being back on the bench for Duke today.
Yeah, and that's an interesting game because NC State's a kind of a wacky team to kind of figure out. I know they had a lot of injuries. Manny Bates in particular at the beginning of the year kind of affected everything that they do. Regarding Duke, though, I did watch that Duke-Wake Forest game in the middle of the week this past week. Actually, you know what? Let me circle back around to that. Let me just run down the other games today first, and then we'll come back to Duke and Wake Forest. So 3 p.m. on ESPN, Florida State takes on Syracuse up in the Carrier Dome in Syracuse. At 4 p.m., Louisville takes on Pitt. At 4:30, Wake Forest is in action on the road taking on Virginia. At 6 p.m., Notre Dame is taking on Virginia Tech. And at 6:30 p.m., Boston College faces off versus Clemson. Georgia Tech comes to the Dean Dome to take on North Carolina tonight at 8 p.m. Coming back around to that Duke-Wake Forest matchup, did it surprise you, Connor, that Duke was able to kind of press on the gas the way they did at the end of the first half into the second half and just pull away from Wake Forest? Do you think it was more of a Wake not being on that platform before, that level, that stage, or was it just a matter of Duke just had more talent and just eventually they just pulled away?
I think that was a matter of Duke being the more talented team and Duke making key plays in a key stretch of the game. Really, that last minute and the first 4 minutes of the second half is where the game was decided. And it's not always easy to point to one specific 5-minute stretch of a game and say, this is where it was won and this is where it was lost, but it is in that game. Like, it was a 22-1 run in that span for Duke. Other than that 5-minute stretch, Wake outscored Duke by 9 for the whole game. So I think it's a learning experience for Wake. I think Wake saw that they can play at that level. They just have to be able to play at that level for a full 40 minutes, and they didn't. I think for Duke, they saw that, going back to the previous game against Miami, Duke did not close the first half well. And then Duke obviously did not close the end of the game well. They had a 3-point lead with 30 seconds left and lost. So it was really a key moment for Duke where they're able to put together end of half moments that won a game for them instead of the previous game when they I don't want to say choked away, but when they lost a game in the last minute. So those were my key takeaways for both sides.
Are you surprised?
I do have a question. Go ahead,
Brent.
Well,
No,
I do have a question about that too, man. Connor, just watching Wake, they're a fun team. It's been good to see, obviously, Alondas Williams, the development of Davian Williamson coming over. But why do you think they can't find minutes for Carter Witt, a guy that was handed the keys as soon as he hit campus last January?
Carter, it's gonna be a struggle to say this nicely. I mean, he is a freshman, right? He was a high school player last year. Like, he needs to be given some time to develop. And I think that he can develop into more than what he is now, obviously. But he doesn't have length. He doesn't have all that much explosiveness, and his defense. I don't think he's a very good defender. So against a team, especially against a team like Duke, I mean, what does Duke do better than just about anybody else in the country is they will exploit your weaknesses. They will find they're like an NBA team in the fact that they will pinpoint one player on your team and they will just, find a guard like Trevor Keels and post up your weakest defender. And when you have a guard like Carter Witt out there, that's a liability. And so it's a problem for Wake Forest that Carter is not, I think, as ready as he should be. But at the same time, I'm guilty of it. I think Wake fans have to kind of give themselves a little more time for Carter to figure out what it takes to be an ACC guard and kind of develop into that.
I wanted to move over to, I was trying to stick with ACC Big Four for the segment. So we touched on Duke, we've touched on Wake Forest. I talked a little bit briefly about NC State. I'm really curious about this North Carolina Georgia Tech game at 8 o'clock at the Dean Dome. Carolina's still undefeated at home this year, 11-4, 3-1 in the ACC. Am I missing something? Carolina's favored by 12.5 points in this game, but it feels like Carolina has to run through Bacot and the guards, RJ Davis and Caleb Love in particular. The last game that they played, those three guys pretty much played the entirety of the game. Do you think that's something that Hubert's going to kind of keep going with, just kind of putting the keys in those three guys' hands? Because I saw the other day that Davis basically said Bacot should be the ACC Player of the Year. Do you subscribe to all of that? And how good do you think this North Carolina team can be? Because it feels like they're really just scratching the surface.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Leaky Black is not going to be a scoring threat, I think you have to play through Bacot and Love and Davis. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing to see how this team evolves for the next 2 months. I still think you have to keep in mind that it's a first-year coach. Like, first-year coaches have growing pains in figuring out strengths and weaknesses and who to go to at what times. I think in the same vein of it's a first-year coach, I don't think a first-year coach should be saying that his player is the hands-down ACC Player of the Year on January 14th.
Yeah,
but he'll learn from that. And you can't fault a guy for sticking up for his players. I mean, there's never going to be a coach who's criticized for sticking up for his guys. I just thought that was a little over the top where we're already handing him the award in mid-January.
Yeah, we're 4 games into the ACC schedule.
Yeah. But they're a Jekyll and Hyde team at this point. I do think they win against Georgia Tech tonight. The only way I would see that going differently is if somebody like Michael DeVoe got off for 30 plus and really carried Georgia Tech, but it's not a very good Georgia Tech team. They'll muddy it up and they'll slow things down and they'll make it kind of an ugly game. That's what Georgia Tech has to do to win, kind of like in the same way that Virginia has to win and has had to win for the last few years. But yeah, I think that should be an easy game for Carolina to win.
Bacot had a Bryce Johnson-like game against Virginia, their last outing. It feels like it feels like Carolina's being underrated to a certain extent. I look back at the losses they've actually had, and I'm like, they don't have a bad loss to me. Purdue, Kentucky, Tennessee, those teams are ranked. Those teams are ranked, and they've been ranked like all year. And all 3 of those games, I believe, were either at neutral sites or on the road. So I'm not really that concerned with Carolina. I'm trying to remember who they lost to besides those 3.
Yeah, they lost at Notre Dame last week, and I would take it a step further. I would say, I mean, Notre Dame. You mentioned earlier talking about the top 4 teams in the ACC. They'd be in it for me. I think that Notre Dame team.
Let's go right there. Who's your top 4 from ACC right now? As of this week, who would be your top 4 ACC teams?
I would say Duke, Carolina, Notre Dame, and Miami.
No Wake. No Wake in there.
I mean, Wake has lost to 2 teams in the top 4 and 1 team that I don't think is anywhere all that close to the top 4 with Louisville. I think Wake can get there. Wake can win at Virginia today, and then their next game is at Georgia Tech next week. If they win those 2 and some other teams drop games, then I could easily see thinking of them as a top 4 ACC team. I'm just not there right now. And winning at Virginia is no easy task for any team. And for Wake hasn't beaten Virginia since Jeff Bzdelik was the coach. So if that tells you kind of the history in this matchup that Virginia has had going for it the last few years.
Feels like Virginia can't score. Well, I mean, they've always had that problem to a certain extent, except for their national championship team that had, like 3 first-round picks on it. But for the most part, it feels like this year in particular, those other teams that Virginia had at least a guy that can go get you 20 points. I'm not big on like Kihei Clark or somebody like that, like scoring 28 points on somebody. Like, I just don't believe it'll happen. So I'm sitting there looking at their roster like, who did they go to in crunch time to get a bucket, and like I can't find a guy. So this Virginia team is a little different from the ones that we've gotten used to over the past couple of years. I'm a little concerned about the ACC though when it comes to the national scene, because it does feel like we talked about this last week on Rundown actually, where I mentioned I felt like the 2019 season was the peak of ACC basketball, and I don't know if we're going to get back to that peak again. We had 3 1 seeds. Virginia won the national championship. That was the Duke team with Zion Williamson and RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish, otherwise known as the 2022-23 New York Knicks. And then Carolina had a 1 seed with Luke May and Kobe White and Cam Johnson and all those guys. So, but this year I'm kind of looking around and I'm like, well, okay, you got Duke, who's there based off their recruiting class and the talent level, that the potential that they have. Then you've got teams that are on the fringe of the top 25, like Carolina, Wake Forest, Louisville's flirted with it a little bit. How many teams do you think can actually get into the NCAA tournament from the ACC? Because right now it looks like it's only like maybe 4 or 5, which sounds odd for a 16-team ACC league that's basically a hybrid of the old Big East and the old ACC merged together into this large baby thing that we got going on. But it feels like it's weak in the league. What are your thoughts on where the ACC stands with the rest of the country right now?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a banner year for the ACC. That's not breaking any news here. I think they'll be lucky to get that 5th team in. I think 4 is kind of the number you look at and say, okay, it's not going to be as catastrophic as only getting 2 or 3 teams in. People will make jokes about it only being a 1-team league, and that's just silliness. I think 4 is the number you'll arrive at come Selection Sunday, and maybe get a 5th one in there. I think talking about a 6th or 7th bid is pretty unrealistic, even as early as it is to talk about now. I wouldn't press the panic button. I mean, this is not going to be a year that is remembered as a great ACC season, but it ebbs and flows. Like, the ACC has been down before. Like, it was down before 2019 and then rose back up to where it was. I can't remember.
It's almost like there's not like the brand name, like the kids themselves. It feels like the classes that have come in after 2019 have not been as good as the 2019 freshman class that came through. And it feels like it's almost like we've positioned the game of college basketball to promote the freshmen, like the hot one and done guys. And when you have classes that don't really have a lot of one and done guys on the same level of a Zion or an RJ Barrett or even a Kobe White, then it almost feels like if your league is built on that, then your league is going to suffer. And it feels like the ACC, Duke in particular, fell into that trap, so to speak, where they were all after these one and done 5-star kids that might be there a year, maybe 2 years. And when you have a year where that recruiting doesn't work in that manner, it kind of sets back the league for like a year or two. And it feels like the ACC is there because if you look at like the Big Ten, that feels like a league of older teams. Like all the good teams are older, like Purdue and teams like that. Do you think that has anything to do with it? That maybe the ACC needs to revamp how they build these teams? Because I do see guys like Hubert trying to go after 4-star kids that'll stay longer than a year. And I have no idea what Duke is going to plan. I assume Shire is going to continue to recruit the way Shire's been recruiting for the past decade, going after the one and dones, the 5-star guys. But we see how that works when it comes to April. So I don't know if there's a fix for the perception of the ACC right now, other than just going out in the court and winning ball games.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to winning ball games. I think given where we are with NIL and with the transfer portal, I think there's going to be more and more you see teams that are cobbled together in the span of a few months in March, April, and May. And it's kind of scary for your traditional college basketball fans. Like, we grew up in the 90s and 2000s and watched teams develop chemistry over time. I think chemistry is now going to be a thing that's developed over a few months in the summer. I think you're going to have those rare teams that are together for a couple years, but I don't know if those teams are ever going to be the name brand teams that are going to have to deal with one and dones and going to have to deal with other early entries. And yeah, just it feels like we're in the midst of transition. Like we're still in this hurricane. When we come out on the other side, we're going to see a landscape of college basketball, I think. And, maybe this is just my opinion, but I think on the other side of this is going to be, I don't want to say it's going to look like JUCO because that's a little unfair, but I think it is going to be a matter of most high major college basketball teams are going to have to put together their rosters with the idea that this team is going to be together for 1 year. And then next year, you're going to have to do it all over again. And
kind of like Wake Forest, the way Forest put this squad together for this year. Alondas Williams and Jake LaRavia, those guys are going to be playing in the NBA next year. Like they're in for basically a year, and they're going to be gone, and he's going to have to do this all over again. But his track record shows he can do that because that's what he was doing before he got to Wake Forest. So it actually is almost a perfect hire for this state that we're in right now for college basketball. Connor, tell the folks where they can get to your work. Like I said, you picked up the Duke beat too, man. Congratulations on that. Tell everybody where they can read your stuff regarding Wake Forest and on Duke.
So for Wake Forest, it's wakeforest.rivals.com. And for Duke, it is simply duke.rivals.com.
We got to get you on the Tar Heels beat too. This whole Duke Wake Forest stuff. We got to get you on some Tar Heel stuff.
I'm juggling two of them. That's enough for now.
Conor ONeill, always a pleasure having you on, brother. We'll definitely have you on throughout the rest of the ACC Hoops season as we barrel down into February and this eventual first matchup between Duke and Carolina. We'll get a chance to chop that up a little bit too. Appreciate having you on, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, Des.
Coming up, why is Matt Rhule still employed? That's it. That's the whole segment. Why is Matt Rhule still employed? We'll get into that. Kevin Avery from the 4-Man Rush is going to join us, as well as Jason Huber from Cat Crave blog in just a bit. I'm frustrated about this, fellas. Like, I don't know why this dude still has a job. Like, it's almost like he's trying to get fired. And David Tepper is like in this game of chicken with him and is like, nah, bro, I signed you for 7 years. I got you. You ain't going nowhere. And he's like, no, I'm going to say all this bad stuff so I get fired. And then it doesn't happen. So we're going to chop this up, figure this out. How much of a leash does Matt Rhule actually have with David Tepper and the Panthers? We'll get into all that and more next. You're listening to The Rundown on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio, your home for Triad Sports.
You know this, man.
I'm not live yet.
Purchase your tickets now for the 2022 Softball Expo, January 14th and 15th at the Park Expo and Conference Center in Charlotte at Liberty Hall. Nationally known speakers from around the country include C.J. Beatty, Tony Medina, Matt Lisley, and more. Vendors with the latest softball equipment, uniforms, tournaments, and technology. Coaches Clinic on Friday for travel and high school coaches, autograph sessions, raffles for free equipment, and much more. Players wear your team jersey on Saturday and get in free. For more information, visit DiamondStarEvents.net.
This is Davis Troxler, the proud owner of North Carolina Golf Academy and the Director of Instruction. Don't let your golf game suffer from this dreary winter season. Come hit some golf balls, take a lesson. You can call us at 336-324-2374 for details. Thank you, and keep it in the fairway.
Looking to change things up a little? Visit Salon Resi. Located at 765 East Bluemont Road, Suite 200 in Mount Airy, Salon Resi is the newest high-end full-service salon and spa in the Triad. Salon Resi Spa includes massages and skincare. Get a full highlight treatment, shampoo and style, color and retouch, and much, much more. Salon Resi, where passion and creativity meet. 765 East Bluemont Road, Suite 200 in Mount Airy. Craving fried chicken? Stop by One Stop on the way to the big game. One Stop number 6, located at 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville, serves fresh fried chicken and famous taters 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Craving wings? Come try the new spicy breaded wings. Get a 5-wing meal with 6 taters and a roll for just $7.39. Now in regular, hot, ranch, or spicy. One Stop number 6, 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville. Blue Naples Pizzeria in Kernersville is now hiring. Come work for one of the best Italian restaurants in the Triad. Currently hiring dishwashers, cooks, front cashiers, and more. Great hours, great pay. Give them a call at 336-993-7707 or stop by and inquire at 1519 Union Cross Road in Kernersville. Start working this week. Blue Naples Pizza. Craving fried chicken? Stop by One Stop on the way to the big game. One Stop number 6, located at 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville, serves fresh fried chicken and famous taters 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Craving wings? Come try the new spicy breaded wings. Get a 5-wing meal with 6 taters and a roll for just $7.39. Now in regular, hot, ranch, or spicy. One Stop number 6, 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville.
Beamer Tire and Auto Repair, now with 3 locations across the Triad in High Point, Greensboro, and our new location in Kernersville. Beamer Tire and Auto offers full-service auto repair, all tire brands, free alignment checks, oil changes, and more. In Kernersville, check out the no appointment needed Quick Lube shop. Check out their thousands of 5-star ratings via Google and Yelp. They care because they know that you can go anywhere. So try a shop with a beating heart, not a bottom line. Beamer Tire and Auto Repair. Visit us on Facebook or at beamertire.com.
Back to the rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Welcome back into the rundown Saturday Snowpocalypse edition here. Desmond Johnson in the house with Hot Rod Funderburk, Brandon Lee TV. If you guys have questions about anything we're doing on the show today, you want to chime in, we're doing it new school style. Instead of calling in on traditional landline like you would to a terrestrial radio station, you can hit us up on Facebook where you're probably watching this. Just go down to the comment section, type in your question, send it through. It'll hit us in the studio, and we'll be able to answer that for you live on the air. Shout out to WWBG 1470 AM here in the Triad. TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. You can also watch this on the Facebook watch of Tobacco Road and Sports Carolina Monthly, as well as the Tobacco Road Twitter account. The Carolina Panthers are pissing me off, y'all. I don't know what I don't know what they are doing, but it's like I can't even get away from them. The season ended last week. I shouldn't be having these feelings anymore. I should be able to move on to, you know what I'm saying, to something else. And it's like Matt Rhule. It's almost like Matt Rhule is trying to get fired. Like it's a game of chicken between him and the owner, David Tepper. Like Matt Rhule wakes up in the morning and he's like, I choose violence today. I'm gonna figure out some way for them to fire me so that I can save face. And then he goes out and does something that makes no sense whatsoever. And then he's still employed. Like I can't figure out why this man is still employed. If you don't know, if you haven't been on Twitter or any place else the past day or two, Matt Rhule went to WFNZ in Charlotte on the Mac Attack, friends of the program here. Shout out to T-Bone. And they did a great job with the interview. They asked him the questions a lot of the fans wanted them to ask. And Matt Rhule, yet again, put his foot in his mouth on a variety of topics with the Panthers. In particular, why they didn't choose second team all-pro tackle Rashawn Slater instead of J.C. Horn in the first round. He there's a whole lot of stuff he went through. I bring in right now from the 4-man rush, Kevin Avery, friend of the program, haven't had him on in a bit, and Jason Huber, who is a contributing writer to Cat Crave blog and a digital producer over at WBTV down in Charlotte as well. What's going on, fellas? How are y'all doing this Saturday morning?
Doing well, Desmond. How you doing?
Pretty good. I think there you go. We got Kev muted there. What's going on, Kev? How you doing?
Doing great. You know, been up since 6, running around like a chicken with my head cut off, getting ready for this snowpocalypse.
Man, it sounds like in Charlotte, y'all gonna get a lot of ice. Yeah, I'm thinking about all y'all. I'm thinking about us. I don't know what we getting up here. We've been blaming Brandon the whole show because he's up in North Dakota, so he pushed it all down here south. So
I work for AmeriGas, the propane company, so they sorry.
We'll see what goes down Sunday night.
Is that man Kevin Avery you brought on here?
That is Kevin Avery. Y'all haven't seen each other in like a year. Yeah,
man, Kevin Avery and I were supposed to wind up in Vegas together until the daggone COVID knocked them. How you doing, Pimp Daddy? Everything all right?
Hey man, I'm still going. Matter of fact, they sent me an email. They still got my deposit from 2020. So a brother catching flight not feelings. So hey, I'm looking forward to heading out there. It's a 8:20 flight leaving Charlotte that Wednesday night before the draft. I'll be back Sunday afternoon. I already got the time off approved. I mean, unless Omicron, Unicron, Megatron, whatever one they call it, you know what I'm saying? If they don't take over,
So I asked you guys to come on because I was watching y'all's activity on Twitter after the Matt Rhule interview, and actually, 4-Man Rush, your tweet went viral. I saw a lot of ESPN personalities retweeting it. I can't remember which one it was. Walk me through this, Kev, because as this interview was taking place, 4-Man Rush was on top of it in terms of like putting back out the quotes that Matt Rhule was saying to a disgusted Panthers fan base. And it's almost like Matt Rhule refuses to accept responsibility for anything. The thing that really irked me was the fact that he was trying to get away from, he was basically saying, well, I'm not just sitting there making all these decisions with the roster and blah, blah, blah. He was almost like he was pushing it away from him. Like as if we did not watch the Carolina Confidential 30-minute long draft video where it's him and Scott Fitterer and David Tepper sitting in a room, and Rhule is basically the final decision maker on every single pick that they do. Fitterer was basically just moving around the draft board, but he was moving around for guys that Rhule wanted. So is it a matter of, does Matt Rhule think we're not here? Like, does he think we can't see like what he's doing and like saying like he says things and does things almost as if he doesn't realize that it's on tape or that it's on video and that it can come back. What am I supposed to be feeling here? Because like I don't understand how this dude is still employed. I really don't.
You want to go first, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead. Yeah, because I said that same thing on Twitter. It was you're listening to it, and it's everything they ask. Because I mean, Mac and Bone, they did a great job asking these questions.
They did.
It's just he's just sitting there, and he's kind of like, well, we thought this, we thought that, and we thought. And when he's saying that, I don't think he said one time in this interview. I think he might have later on the later show when he joined them, but he didn't say one time, we made a mistake here with Rashawn Slater with his arms, which was kind of ridiculous about looking back on it, how Rashawn Slater ended up being second team All-Pro.
Arm length. He's stuck on arm length for some reason.
I know, yeah. Something with that, Brady Christensen with it. It's kind of like, I don't understand. Maybe his arms weren't long enough. I don't know where he couldn't play in college, but you're sitting there. It just makes you more angry because and David Tepper, I mean, that's another thing. He hasn't spoken either. So you don't even have the owner speaking and saying this is what went wrong this year and last year. They keep throwing Matt Rhule back out there in the fire, and he's not accepting any blame, at least a majority of the time. And he keeps saying, Cam Newton was great when we had him, but it's like obviously something went wrong. What went wrong? He just keeps saying it's this process. We'll get there. Well, we haven't seen any results. So that's making fans really upset and getting triggered every time Matt Rhule comes out there and basically opens his mouth.
And that's with John Fox and with Ron Rivera. I think the difference here is that with those two guys, their first 2 years, they had below 500 records at the end of the year, but you could see growth in December with both of them. Like the teams got better as we got into late November, December, especially Rivera. Rivera's teams were like known to like get hot, like at the end of the year and kind of ride off of that into the next year. We haven't seen a lick of that with these Matt Rhule teams the past 2 years. In fact, they've gotten worse as the season's gone on with no hope of getting better both years. Now, 2020, we kind of wrote it off as COVID, no crowds. He's a rookie coach, rookie staff, didn't meet his team until like July. So we kind of gave him a pass on that year. This year, though, was almost like a continuation of the year before with some of the mistakes and them playing Russian roulette with the quarterback position. I have no idea why they even brought Cam Newton back. Like, I honestly feel like Matt Rhule did not want Cam Newton back. Because, I mean, if you really think about it, he's the one that cut him. Like, why would he bring him back? Matt Rhule had to go to David Tepper to get the okay to cut Cam Newton in the first place. Why would he change his opinion of Cam Newton in 8 months just because he only has PJ Walker available in the quarterback room? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. Plus, if you think back on it, the day that Cam got signed, what was the picture that was floating around social media? It wasn't a picture of him and Matt Rhule, like in front of a contract or whatever. It was a picture of him and David Tepper in David Tepper's driveway. Like, I feel like Tepper brought Cam back because Tepper never wanted to lose Cam Newton, and Rhule had to swallow it. And the first opportunity he got, he stopped playing him. I also feel like they stopped playing Cam so that they wouldn't have to pay him the incentives that they had in there. Because everyone keeps saying 10 million. It was really 6 million, but there was like 4 million in incentives that he was supposed to get due to playing time. And if you notice, they only played him like a play the last 2 games of the year. I think that was to make sure he got certain specifics in the deal, but they made sure not to play him enough for him to get off and actually, reach some of those incentives. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as far as that goes, actually, to correct you, the breakdown of the incentives, $6 million. It was $4.5 million base, $1.5 million signing bonus, and the other $4 million came from playoff games. If so, three playoff games, 500,000, and then obviously we made it to the Super Bowl. It would have been another 500,000. So basically, that was the structure of the contract. So whether he'd have played or not in the regular season wouldn't have affected getting the money. It was just a matter of sorry about that. It was just a matter of if we got to the playoffs or whatever. So just to clarify that up.
We left that dream alone back in like September. Like,
yeah, October.
Yeah, they looking
once
good.
we lost to the Giants, I just knew that was just
rock bottom? Was that rock bottom? Like, because there's a number of points of the year where we can go, that was rock bottom. Was that rock bottom when we lost?
We traveled 12 hours to kick 3 points. I mean, seriously, like we went up 85 and 95 to kick 3 points and bring ourselves back home. So it was just crazy. But yeah, we went from a tough ass team in 2020 to whatever this is in 2021. Serious regression. As far as Matt Rhule go, he really trying to play us like we're boo-boo the fool. When Smitty has to get on and be like, basically saying the fans can clearly see it, why Matt Rhule can't see it? I mean, it's been so many former players associated with the Panthers that have just all been in unison. Like, as much as I don't agree with a lot of his takes, Skip Bayless said it best. We are not a clown show of the NFL. It's no longer the Jets. It's no longer the Browns. You can crack a few of the Jaguars, but I mean, seriously, we're really literally the butt of NFL, memes and just outright, embarrassment. And it's solely tied into not only things Matt Rhule say in these press conferences, but what he does on the field. I mean, my God, I was at Tampa Bay when he called those 2 timeouts in the last minute and a half of the first quarter.
Whoa.
I literally threw my drink down the damn steps. Seriously, I had to go down there and pick it up, because I wasn't at home. I wasn't like at Bank of America where I let it just roll. But I had to have manners. I was invited to somebody else's house. But I mean, this guy's just like really has taken all the fun. I'm usually one of the more optimistic ones about the season. Right. You know me for years, Des.
Yeah.
Look, after we lost to Atlanta, I said 5-12 season loading. I already say 3-14 next year if him and Donald still on the roster. I'm just looking for the number 1 overall pick so we can draft Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud in 2023. That's where I'm at right now.
So you've already fast forwarded past next year. Like, you've already just kind of threw next year out. Like, it ain't gonna work. Because that's how I feel. I'm like, we already saw this. Like, why are we going to run it back? Like, it's not going to be any better. Like, what are we doing? I want to circle back in and bring in Brandon and Rod on this because neither one of them are Panther fans, and they get to watch this from the outside in. Panther fans just kind of ripping their hair out over what's going on. What do you guys think, Rod and Brandon, when you see what the Panthers organization is doing or not doing when it comes to Matt Rhule and whatever this is? Because this is January 15th. If they're going to fire him, they probably already would have by now. Clearly, he's going to stay. David Tepper's in hiding somewhere. We haven't seen him at all this entire year, now to think about it. What are your thoughts when you see the Panthers organization and some of the like in-game calls and stuff that Matt Rhule has done? Do you feel like Matt Rhule deserves another year?
Well, the first thing that I think about when I see everything going on with the Panthers, is I'm like, thank God that these are not my Cowboys, because I know what it means and what it feels like to see this kind of stuff going on, because I've been a Cowboy for years. I'm like, thank God for that. But
it's
man, I'll be honest
finally
with you. I don't know what Matt Rhule's doing. I don't know what Matt Rhule is doing, but didn't he go and fire his offensive line coach, the special teams coach, I think the defensive line coach? I mean, so is he firing people to say, hey, you know, it's these guys' fault? So David Tepper, I'm going to get the correct people in here and I'm going to make this thing happen. And just looking at David Tepper from a David Tepper standpoint, you know, he's a big time billionaire. You know, is it hard for a big time billionaire to come back and say, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have hired Matt Rhule? Or is it better for him to come back and say, well, I believed in Matt Rhule, I'm just going to give some things some time. You know, maybe Matt Rhule is saying we had some guys out because of injuries, COVID. You know, the quarterback that he wanted got injured, so the quarterback couldn't, and Darnold got injury, so Darnold couldn't do everything that Matt Rhule had him or wanted him to do. So he can blame, you know, the season on injuries. He can blame the season on my defensive line coach didn't do what he was supposed to do. My offensive line coach wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. This was the plan that I had for my assistant coaches, and my assistant coaches did not follow it. Yeah, exactly. Everybody but him. That's what it sounds like he's doing. Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's what it sounds like he's doing. And David Tepper is a billionaire guy, and he's not going to come out and say, I made a mistake. How many billionaires do you know come out and say, hey, I screwed up? Jerry Jones won't even do it, and we see him screw up all the time.
I mean, if I was the richest billionaire in the whole league, I would like to think I wouldn't care what people think. Like, don't go, David Tepper, you're spending all this money to basically renovate uptown Charlotte once this Major League Soccer team arrives, and you're building all these new shops and places to eat and things downtown. Like, he's revitalizing the city pretty much. Eventually, they're going to get a brand new football stadium. But there's going to be nobody sitting in it because Matt Rhule's going to be the head coach, and we're going to be losing games to like the Eagles because we get punts blocked in our own end zone, and we're going to lose to the Giants, who didn't even have like any of their offense out there, and we lost 28-3. I mean, it's just got to a point where I said it earlier in the year. Candace Cooper from Locked on ACC was on with me on Franchise Players, and I had noticed a tell with Matt Rhule. When Matt Rhule is in a press conference and he starts talking fast, like he's talking at a regular pace, and then he starts to speed up, it's almost like his mind hasn't caught up to where his mouth is. And like, he's just trying to get a comment out, but it always comes out wrong. Like, it's always like, it has a taste of a lie with it, or not the full truth. Maybe that's a better way to say it. But next time you see Matt Rhule talking in the public on a press conference or something, when he starts talking fast in that press conference, that's a question he didn't want to answer, but he couldn't just leave it out there. And 9 times out of 10 is going to come back that he wasn't as honest as he probably should have been. I feel like whoever the PR person is for Matt Rhule needs to be fired, like, next. Like, he shouldn't even been on WFNZ. You know, like, we would have been just fine. Like, if he hadn't gone on the radio and did all this, we would have been the same spot we were before. We don't like Matt Rhule. He needs to be fired, blah, 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 blah. But now he gave us like a whole bucket of kerosene to throw on it all of a sudden, just off of him, like his words, what he said, like the things, the Rashawn Slater thing, just, I can't even like understand like where he was trying to go in terms of like what he was trying to express. This whole arm length thing, that got blown up in his face because Brady Christensen actually turned out to be okay. The last couple of games that they actually played him, they could have played him week 1, but no, his arms are too short to play. Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on here? Like, why did you draft him? Why did you draft the top rated left tackle in the draft where you got him, and you won't play him at left tackle because you think his arms are too short? Like,
yeah.
what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, I don't understand it. Jason, wanted to circle back to you real quick. Do you think that the effect of social media has caused this large contingency of Panther fans to be heard that had not been heard before? Because I feel like John Fox, Ron Rivera, they went through their first 2 years with losing records too. But that was 2001 and 2011 or whatnot.
Oh,
do you think because of where we are social media wise, it's been amplified? Because I do feel like we wouldn't be hearing this if Matt Rhule was the coach in 2007 or whatever. But because of Twitter, it makes it seem like a large portion of the fan base wants this dude out.
Yeah, I definitely think that. I was actually thinking about that the other day, to be honest, because if you look around the league, these coaches have such a shorter leash than they have in the past. Because if you look, for example, Joe Judge in New York, if you didn't have his press conference, 2 weeks ago, where he just started rambling about everything, about how the Giants aren't a clown show and how the Giants this and that, and we don't fight on the bench.
Coming up, these clown show.
Yeah, he might have a job right now. I mean, obviously, I don't think that 3rd and 10 quarterback sneak that he did in the last week helped him. That might have cut him. But with social media, you wouldn't have people replaying it and opportunity for people to get angry. And I think Matt Rhule, it's a perfect example, because F&Z, he'd be on the radio, but if you didn't have social media, whoever was listened to it, and that'd be about it. Maybe you'll have a quick 10-second, 20-second news clip at night on your local news. But yeah, it's definitely caused a thing, and I think owners are seeing that, and GMs are seeing that, and that's why a lot of coaches are being let go so much quicker, because if you're feeling the fan base isn't agreeing with this, then it's a lost cause, and that's it. And I'm wondering what David Tepper thinks seeing all this. He's been very quiet. He was not very quiet his first 2 years as owner, and all of a sudden he's been mum. So it's in 2011, 2012, social media wasn't the way it is now. It was getting there a little bit with Ron Rivera, but who knows? I mean, I'm sure if we had social media the way it is now, people would be trying to run Ron Rivera out, because they did make progress, but looking in that moment, if I remember correctly, it still felt like there were, I think, some calls at that point that, hey, Ron Rivera might not be the guy, because they weren't. Cam Newton was looking really good and the team wasn't winning. They did end up approving that 3rd year, though, but it's just there feels like there's a big difference between Ron Rivera and Matt Rhule and just the way they talk and everything. But I agree completely that social media is causing a big, it's a big factor in this. And is that wrong? I don't think so. I mean, if anything, it just gives us more visibility that we didn't see years ago.
Now, I know, Kev, I know you, and I know that. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
So, my question is, see what Matt Rhule is, or we believe as a head coach. Question with you and any other Carolina, who would be a realistic, we have dreams now, but who would be a realistic replacement for Matt Rhule?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't think we as a fan base have gotten that far. I think we're just like, we want this dude gone, but we haven't really thought about who would come in after. I don't know. That's a good question, Kev. Jason, have you thought about, like, if you woke up on Monday and David Tepper fired Matt Rhule, who would you want to come in and be the coach?
Well, it's funny because people will say on Twitter, oh, Brian Flores is available now, or Eric Bieniemy, who they interviewed the last cycle, and that obviously didn't work out. So, yeah, I mean, if there was one reason, if you said to me, why should they keep Matt Rhule one more year, it would be that. It's because I don't know if there's one guy right now who would really think this is an attractive job, because it's not that attractive of a job. Yes, the defense looks good, but they still lack size in that defense. There's still some progress that needs to be made. But on offense, you've got DJ Moore. That's really about it, because you can't even trust Christian McCaffrey anymore. I mean, I don't know if he'll be here. I mean, next year. You would think he would, because who's going to trade for him? But it's not an attractive job like it was even 2 years ago when Matt Rhule was hired. It looked a lot more attractive then. So, yeah, I think that's the one reason why you might probably see Matt Rhule back on the sidelines next year, because I don't know who they're going to hire. And if they did, then it'll just be the next guy to kind of get thrown under the bus, because they're not a good team right now at all.
I couldn't answer the head coaching question, but I can answer the offensive coordinator question. I want Pep Hamilton. That's who I want them to hire. I feel like if you look at the weaknesses of this team and the problems they've had, it's at quarterback and on the offense. Pep Hamilton's kind of considered a quarterback whisperer of sorts. He's the one that kind of Not kind of. He was with Andrew Luck at Stanford, followed him to the Colts, was there with him for most of his career. He was the quarterback coach with the Chargers last year when Justin Herbert had a great rookie season and kind of set him up. And he's in Houston now where what's the quarterback's name? David something.
Mac or something like that.
I can't remember the quarterback that's been playing.
Davis Mills.
Davis Mills.
Yeah.
I mean, Davis Mills was annoyingly effective against the Panthers in week 3. And from my understanding, he actually played okay down the stretch. And he's been under the tutelage of Pep Hamilton. If there's any way to fix Sam Darnold, Pep Hamilton would probably be the one guy to be like, okay, let's see what this is. If you can't get this together, even under Pep, then Sam, I'm sorry. I know you're 25, but you might want to, put some resumes in someplace else. Cause I don't know if the NFL is for you, buddy. Cause this has been handed to you on a silver platter and you still can't really get it done. I get it. The offensive line's not that good, but hey, Joe Burrow don't have a very good offensive line either. And he's about to play in a Wildcard Weekend today. And I'm pretty sure the Bengals are going to win with that awful offensive line. So I can only excuse the offensive line so much. Burrow's been sacked like 50 times or something this year. So we'll see. We'll see what it is. Guys, I got to get you guys out of here. I'm up against a break. Shout out to Kevin Avery. Kev, let's start off with you where people can find the Four-Man Rush's work. You guys are doing excellent stuff.
Yeah, you can find the Four-Man Rush. Always go to our website, www.4manrush.com. You'll find our social media links there. And also a quick plug, if you guys are not doing anything tomorrow around 12 noon, I'm going to leak this to Des before the show. Former Panther Mike Wall, he liked our tweet that we posted that went viral, and he reached out to it. Well, he had his publicist reach out, and I actually been communicating with Mike Wall on Twitter. He wants to come on and talk with us. He said he liked our format, our content. He said we're not a copy and paste type of group, which he loves. Actually, he's just messaged me like 5 minutes ago. He's going to be on tomorrow from like 12 to 1. So if you guys get a chance, check us out, Mike Wall. And he already said he'd like to do, every week during the playoffs with us. So just something to get you guys to look forward to. Check out the Four-Man Rush and, we'll make it happen.
Jason, where can they find your work? Because I know you also write for Storm and Sting as well.
Yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at _ Jason Huber, Huber. And then, follow Cat Crave blog on Twitter and their website, catcrave.com. And then Swarm and Sting for Hornets News. Four-Man Rush is featured on Cat Crave as well. So you can listen to some of your podcasts, read about the Panthers. We got a great team over there. And then also listen to Four-Man Rush podcast there. So that's on Twitter. And then the Fansided Networks where you can find the Hornets and Panthers content.
There you have it. Kevin Avery from the Four-Man Rush and Jason Huber from Cat Crave blog. Appreciate you guys joining us right here. I think we're losing Brandon right now too. He's got to trudge off into the snow and do some Brandon Blakney stuff. So we appreciate having you guys on. When we come back after the break, franchise players Ryan Stone will join us. Steph Curry made a comment earlier this week that the 2017 Golden State Warriors would defeat the 1996 Chicago Bulls in 6 games. We will debate that and why that might be just crazy talk here in just a bit. You're listening to The Rundown here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com and WWBG 1470 AM.
To The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
The wait is over. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails is now open. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel. Open 7 days a week starting at 11 a.m. daily. Freshly made Southern cuisine with signature cocktails and lunch specials daily. The location for your next event with Simply Sonia's catering specials. Open now. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel in Winston-Salem.
Craving fried chicken? Stop by One Stop on the way to the big game. One Stop number 6, located at 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville, serves fresh fried chicken and famous taters 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Craving wings? Come try the new spicy breaded wings. Get a 5-wing meal with 6 taters and a roll for just $7.39. Now in regular, hot, ranch, or spicy. One Stop number 6, 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville. Blue Naples Pizzeria in Kernersville is now hiring. Come work for one of the best Italian restaurants in the Triad. Currently hiring dishwashers, cooks, front cashiers, and more. Great hours, great pay. Give them a call at 336-993-7707 or stop by and inquire at 1519 Union Cross Road in Kernersville. Start working this week. Blue Naples Pizza.
Beamer Tire and Auto Repair, now with 3 locations across the Triad in High Point, Greensboro, and our new location in Kernersville. Beamer Tire and Auto offers full-service auto repair, all tire brands, free alignment checks, oil changes, and more. In Kernersville, check out the no appointment needed Quick Lube shop. Check out their thousands of 5-star ratings via Google and Yelp. They care because they know that you can go anywhere. So try a shop with a beating heart, not a bottom line. Beamer Tire and Auto Repair. Visit us on Facebook or at beamertire.com.
Here at Tobacco Road Sports Radio, we ask the tough questions.
Hey, you got any left-handed footballs?
We're never afraid to tell you how we feel.
Oh, we look like the damn Bad News Bears.
We'll debate sports. We'll debate anything.
Man, you lying. You ain't never met Martin Luther King. Not the way out, but yes, he did. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. No, he did not.
No matter what, Tobacco Road Sports Radio has you covered.
I'm going to come right back at him. The soldiers.
You're listening to Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Back to the rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Welcome back to the Rundown, Saturday pre-snowpocalypse edition of the Rundown, live here on WWBG 1470 AM in the Triad. You can catch us on Tobacco Road's Facebook Watch, on Sports Carolina Monthly's Facebook Watch, or on the Tobacco Road Twitter account at Tobacco Radio. Desmond Johnson here with you. Hot Rod Funderburk here for second hour, joined by Ryan Stone, co-host of Franchise Players, Friday afternoons on WTOB 980 AM and WCOG 1320 AM in the Triad, 6 o'clock p.m. every Friday evening. Guys, I wanted to get into a little barbershop talk, something we haven't got a chance to do in a while in terms of topics that I wanted to bring in. And Steph Curry actually helped out with this earlier this week. I don't know if he was asked or prompted or he just blurted it out there, but Steph basically said that he felt like the 2017 Golden State Warriors would defeat the 1996 Chicago Bulls in a 7-game series. He said they would win in 6. For those that aren't aware, about 2 years ago, the Rundown did a huge bracket of like the greatest NBA team of all time, and our Final Four ended up being it was the 86 Celtics, the 87 Lakers, the 96 Bulls, and the 2017 Warriors. And the final ended up being the 2017 Warriors against the 96 Bulls. I brought Ryan in because I respect his basketball acumen. What were your thoughts when you heard Steph say this?
Well, the first thing, like, when you're debating this, I think the first thing I would say is that determines this is whose rules are we playing by? Are we playing the 90s rules where you could bump and grind on people, or are we playing the Warriors rules where you can't touch anybody? I think that's a huge difference in terms of determining who can win this game. Because if the Bulls, with guys like Ron Harper and Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen, who were very physical defenders, if they can bump and grind on you, then yeah, I think they could beat the Warriors. But if they can't touch them, I could see the Warriors winning that series. I don't think Steph's all that crazy. I think a lot of it has to do with the rules. So I think that's the first thing that if you were going to debate this has to be determined, in my opinion. Like, whose rules are we playing with?
I used to think that, and then I thought about it more in depth, and I was like, okay, well, actually, to be honest, both ways favor the Bulls, because if you're playing in the 90s, then they can hand check. They can be rough, physical. Steph's not going to be able to run around 3 miles a game in and out of the lane and wear a guy out because he comes running through the lane. He's going to get a shiver or whatever.
But who's keeping up with Steph from the Bulls?
I don't think you have to. In the night, it would be all compacted. Like his whole point's to run through.
Also, like the Bulls' offense, it wasn't that dynamic. It was a triangle offense that ran through Michael Jordan. Like,
Pippen.
And it worked, but Jordan's never been a great 3-point shooter. So, the great 3-point shooter on that team was Steve Kerr, who didn't even start.
Well, I mean, Jordan. I think Jordan was like a 38% 3-point shooter for his career or something like that. But I mean, he was shooting like 2 3-pointers a game or something.
He didn't shoot a ton of them. So
yeah.
I also, like, from a matchup perspective, like, the Bulls didn't have a great center. So that's the one thing. Like, if you had a great center, you could take advantage of the Warriors because they didn't have a great center.
Well, that was going to be my point, that they kind of match up because they don't have a center. I mean, Luke Longley, it's kind of what they had.
Draymond is like the more modern version of Dennis Rodman. He's a little more he's a better passer, but not quite as good of a rebounder, but he does a little bit of everything. But, like, who's guarding Kevin Durant? Like,
Scottie Pippen.
Nah, nobody's guarding Kevin Durant.
This is the part of the conversation where I feel like this is the part of the conversation where I kind of lose folks because people, I don't know what it is, but people seem to think Kevin Durant is some kind of unguardable mythical creature that couldn't be guarded.
Who's guarded him? Who has ever guarded Kevin Durant successfully?
In this era, I don't know, but in that era, I would have put Scottie Pippen on him from minute one. Like, Scottie Pippen shut Magic Johnson down for entire NBA Finals.
Magic is not. Magic is one of the greatest players of all time, but he is not the offense. He is not the scorer that Kevin Durant is. Like,
but the whole offense was running through Magic, and by Pippen was taking him from full court. Like, I mean, and Magic's the same size as Durant. He's thicker, but I mean, they're both 6'9", 6'10".
Okay, so we're taking Scottie out of the equation and putting him on Kevin Durant. So
yeah.
So who's guarding Steph Curry?
Probably Ron Harper.
And I don't think there's any chance of that. Jordan's not chasing Steph Curry around the whole game.
Jordan.
He's not.
I don't think he would have to.
He doesn't have to. He's gonna beat the heck out of him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, see, this is my point. If we play by 90s rules, then the Warriors are not going to score 114 points.
I agree with that. That's why I said the rules matter.
If we play in today's rules, the bigger question is, who the hell is stopping Michael Jordan from scoring 50 points a game? Dude was averaging 40 points a game in the 93 finals.
Nobody's guarding. That's my thing. Nobody's guarding Michael Jordan, and nobody is guarding Kevin Durant. Nobody's
so it's
stopping
just a pickup game.
Nobody is stopping those two guys. And
it's a YMCA game.
You might end up with a series where the point total is going to be like 280 every game.
And that's another thing too. Like, we're watching it right now. Steph Curry's in a slump right now, and people
he played a little better last night. But
he
did. Yeah.
But Steph goes through these periods of time where he hits these little slumps where he can't really score. Who's to say that the Bulls, probably the greatest defensive team of the 90s, could not force him into a slump? Like, Steph would be forced to shoot these 35-foot threes because he's not going to be able to get in the paint. He's not going to get as many open looks as he normally does. The Bulls defense helped more than any other defense I can think of. Like, if Jordan's getting, ran around by Steph Curry, they're going to switch. And, like, the Bulls are probably one of the best switching defenses I can even remember, between Harp, between Rodman, who can guard all 5 positions on the court, Pippen, Jordan. I mean, Michael Jordan had 9 first-team all-defensive years or whatever. Pippen had like 10, I believe.
The Warriors are a pretty great switching defense as well, if we're being honest about it.
In the years that they won their I really count the 2015 Warriors with the better defense over the 17 Warriors. I think they depended more on Durant and Curry going off scoring wise in 2017. But if you take one of those guys out of the equation and force it on the other guy, those Warrior teams could be beaten, and they were.
Okay, but what if you take Jordan out of the equation? What if somebody takes Jordan out?
Who's doing that? That's my question.
Who's doing Durant out? Like, you're saying Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen is 6'8". He's still 4 inches shorter than Kevin Durant.
I think Kevin Durant's really 6'9".
Kevin Durant shoots the ball up on top of his head. Nobody is altering Kevin Durant's shot. That's what we don't understand about Kevin Durant. And
but Pippen's going to make it hard for him to get to the shot. That's my point. Pippen's going to make it where it's hard for him to get space to actually get that shot off. Like, if he gets it off, then he's going to have a clear.
He's one of the best scorers of all time. Like, there's not a lot of people, and I don't think Scottie Pippen, like, as great of a defender as Scottie Pippen was, he's not stopping Kevin Durant.
And I'm not necessarily saying he would stop him. I'm just saying he ain't gonna go off for 35. He's not going off for 35 on Scottie Pippen. It's not happening.
Like, 90s NBA fans are so enamored with, like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it was almost like the Bulls. If you're a 90s basketball fan, you think that was the golden era of basketball, which I feel bad for you. that nobody's ever going to tell you the Bulls weren't the best team. And that's fine. Like, I don't necessarily disagree that they aren't the best team ever. But, like, who they didn't beat anybody as good as the Warriors. Ever.
They were the Warriors. Like, there was no other team. You know what I mean? Like, they would have to beat themselves.
These teams that, like, the Bulls played, they weren't, when we look at the talent level, they weren't that great. Like,
whoa. No.
Detroit wasn't that good?
I'm going to push back on all of that.
The Lakers weren't that good?
We're talking about the 96 Bulls. We're not talking about those Bulls.
That Sonics team they beat in the finals was a 60-game winning team.
They were up 3-1, and they made it. They won Game 5 and made it a 6-game series. Like, they dominated the Sonics, and the Sonics had 2 players.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the point. That Bulls team in '96 dominated everyone. Like, it wasn't just like, you know, the team that they fought.
And so did the same Warriors team we're talking about. They dominated.
Not in the same way. Not in the same way.
They dominated the Cavaliers. They beat them in 5 games. They beat LeBron.
The Cavaliers didn't have anybody. LeBron James was able to drag a team that got traded there 2 months prior all the way to the NBA.
I agree with that.
Like, I mean, they weren't playing
They
anybody.
still beat LeBron James, who's, I mean, more talented than anybody that Jordan ever beat, for being honest.
I can't say he's more talented than Magic Johnson. More than Magic Johnson, number one.
LeBron is a better all-around player than Magic. LeBron is the improved version of Magic. Better shooter, better defender. LeBron is.
I think a better defender. Yeah, better defender, better
shooter.
defender.
He's a better shooter.
I don't know if I'd say he's a better leader or a better.
Maybe not. But also LeBron didn't have Kareem.
Yeah. But I mean, LeBron has had his share of all-stars playing alongside him and should have way more rings than he does. Like,
I agree with that. I'm not nobody's saying that LeBron hasn't had his shortcomings. My point was LeBron's better than anybody the Bulls ever beat.
Now for me, going back to this is the thing I thought about this because I was like, we've had this conversation before with the 2017 Warriors and the 96 Chicago Bulls. Here's the one thing that no one ever talks about that's the difference between the two teams. The 96 Chicago Bulls had an agenda. Like, they came back with the intent of not just winning the championship, but like dominating everyone. The Golden State Warriors of 2017 were built because LeBron James beat them the year before in the finals. They were built so that they could beat LeBron.
They both,
the Bulls, like, literally, their mentality was different than the 2017 Warriors. And to me, that's what would beat the Warriors. The Bulls came out thinking, and they talk trash to everybody they played that year. Like, everyone in the league, when you go back and look at like some of like the videos of like guys are in like Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, those guys, when they talk about that team, they talk about them in a certain way. Like, they got on the court, they knew they were better. They knew they were going to beat you. They would tell you how they were going to beat you. Jordan was prime Jordan in 96. It was like the culmination of 80s Jordan, like 88 Jordan, and wiser, older Jordan that perfected that turnaround and could get in the lane anytime he wanted. All defensive team, league MVP, you name it. Like, also, 96 was the peak of Michael Jordan.
Well, yeah, he essentially had 2 years off too.
18 months. 18 months.
Essentially, he had 2 seasons off. I mean, he came
but
back.
I mean, I can't say that
that's part of the season before, but he essentially had 2 seasons off.
But that's not a benefit to Jordan to be away from the game for 18 months and come back and dominate it the way he did.
I think it is because he came back at the end of the previous season, so he had kind of gotten the rust off.
Yeah, whoa. I don't know if you can say he got the rust off. If anything, that Magic series showed that he still had plenty of rust.
What I'm saying is that Magic series is kind of like that end of the season was where he knocked the rust off, and then he came back as the Michael Jordan that you're talking about the next season.
So my question remains the same. Who's beaten that Jordan in 96 that came back with that mentality of, I'm going to prove everyone wrong. I took it personally, Michael Jordan. That Warriors team is not mentally built to beat that Michael Jordan team. Like, they're just not.
Okay, I mean, the Bulls did have an agenda, yes. But you also just kind of made the case that the Warriors did too, because they wanted to beat the Cavaliers and beat LeBron James. So
that was against one team. That's against one man and one team, not the whole league. That's my point. The Bulls waged war on the entire league.
The Bulls didn't make the finals and lose to a team the year before, so it's a different situation. The Warriors only needed to beat one team because at that time we knew year in and year out it was going to be the Warriors and the Cavaliers. There there wasn't a lot of parity in the league at that point. So that was all they needed to really beat. I mean, they had to get there, obviously, and stay healthy, but that was really – they both had agendas. And, again, I go back to the rules. Like, if the Bulls can bump and grind you and hand check and all of that, yeah, they win the series. I think it's a little more interesting if you play by the Warriors rules. And, you know, they also, like, who did the Bulls play that have ever played basketball like this Warriors team? Ever.
But that's kind of my whole point. I don't think the Warriors would be able to play this way if they played this Bulls team. Like, I think the Bulls defense is being severely underrated. That Warriors team wasn't like scoring 150 points.
But you don't know that because you've never seen that Bulls team play anybody like the Warriors.
The closest thing I could think of would probably be the Phoenix Suns, the 93 Suns. And it wasn't like they were jacking a lot of threes or anything. The Warriors didn't jack that many threes either. Yeah. It's just like the perception that they were just a 3-point shooting team. But the Suns were the
it's more the spacing. Like,
yeah, it's spacing and the way they moved around. Yeah. I would say Utah, to a certain extent, although they were a much older team and they ran more inside the paint with Malone.
Yeah,
but
I just
they were the highest scoring team in the league. They were scoring over 100 points a game. I mean,
like the Sonics had very limited.
Yeah. I don't think shooting. The Warriors played anybody like the Bulls either.
Oh no,
exactly.
I agree with that 100%. I'm just making
the counter.
I think it works both ways. I think it works both ways, and
I agree.
I think it can be debated forever. It works both ways, you know, until these guys can go back in time, you know, find the fountain of youth and go on the court, put your shorts and your shoes on. We can debate and go back and forth forever until that's able to happen. So until we find that fountain. I'll be the first in line to get to drink from. We're never gonna know what will really happen between these two teams.
I don't know. For me, I think it's just frustrating because, like, I feel like in 30 years, 40 years, no one's gonna be talking about Michael Jordan. Like, he's gonna be in the same ethos as like Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem and these guys, where we know they're good. But so much time has passed where he's not going to be considered on the same level as where we have him now.
I don't know,
and
man.
Guys are getting elevated that shouldn't be elevated.
He still got the shoes. That's the difference. That's the difference there.
That's the difference. Yeah. There's no Kareem. Nobody's wearing Kareem.
That makes a huge difference in terms of the legacy. But in terms of what Rod said, I mean, we can go back and forth forever about this. I think the only way you can really determine it is get on the NBA 2K, play it out.
I mean, it's funny too because I feel like Michael Jordan would never comment on this. That's just the way he is. He wouldn't, or if he did, he would never admit the Warriors would have a shot. He would just be like, "Oh yeah, Bulls and 6 or whatever."
Also, like,
he would say the same way.
Jordan's got that executive mind frame now. He seems to, at least. He's building the Hornets better. So I don't think he'd ever say anything derogatory towards Steph in hopes that he could maybe one day lure Steph back to Charlotte,
bring him back home. We can only hope. I mean, it does matter a little bit with the eras or whatever. I just got to the point this year or this past week where I'm like, I watched both those teams, and the 96 Bulls just had a different feel to them. Like from the very jump, it was like they were just on it, like from the very beginning. And like it got to a point where it was like you would look at their schedule and think, these dudes aren't going to lose a game for like 5 weeks, you know, like just watching like who they were playing against and how they were playing. The triangle doesn't get enough credit to me because we've seen basically most of the NBA dynasties of the past 20 years have ran some form of the triangle, whether it was the 90s Bulls, whether it was the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe, the Spurs and their 5 rings with Duncan and Manu and all those guys. And the Warriors today, they run a version of the triangle. It's just that it's kind of like
it's an evolved version.
Yeah, it's a mix of the triangle and like imagine the triangle with Steph just running around randomly in and out of it, and that's basically what they're doing. So the triangle points change based on where Steph is running. Yeah,
it's a triangle with a lot of shooters. I mean, that's basically what it is because it's a triangle with more floor spacing, really.
Yep, and that's why it's hard to guard the Warriors, especially when they're doing what they're doing. And we'll see. The Warriors were in a bit of a slump over the past week. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, who do you trust the most right now in the Eastern and Western Conference in the NBA? Because I'm seeing a lot of young teams at the top of these standings right now. It's kind of crazy when you sit back and look at it. But I don't know who to trust. I got all these teams. So we'll hit that a little bit too, and then we'll get back to the NFL. We got games on Sunday, and we got a Monday night wild card game too. So we'll get all that in here before we get out of here and get your Saturday sports day started. You're listening to The Rundown.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
The wait is over. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails is now open. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel. Open 7 days a week starting at 11 a.m. daily. Freshly made Southern cuisine with signature cocktails and lunch specials daily. The location for your next event with Simply Sonia's catering specials. Open now. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel in Winston-Salem.
Beamer Tire and Auto Repair, now with 3 locations across the Triad in High Point, Greensboro, and our new location in Kernersville. Beamer Tire and Auto offers full-service auto repair, all tire brands, free alignment checks, oil changes, and more. In Kernersville, check out the no appointment needed Quick Lube shop. Check out their thousands of 5-star ratings via Google and Yelp. They care because they know that you can go anywhere. So try a shop with a beating heart, not a bottom line. Beamer Tire and Auto Repair. Visit us on Facebook or at beamertire.com.
Looking to change things up a little? Visit Salon Resi. Located at 765 East Bluemont Road, Suite 200 in Mount Airy, Salon Resi is the newest high-end full-service salon and spa in the Triad. Salon Resi Spa includes massages and skincare. Get a full highlight treatment, shampoo and style, color and retouch, and much, much more. Salon Resi, where passion and creativity meet. 765 East Bluemont Road, Suite 200 in Mount Airy.
Back to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Welcome back to The Rundown here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson. We're here with you every Saturday morning live, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Get you ready for your Saturday tip-offs and whatnot. You can hear us on tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. In the Triad, you can hear us on WWBG 1470 AM every Saturday morning. And actually, you can participate in the show. Watch us on Facebook Watch, on Twitter at Tobacco Radio, and put your comments and questions there. We'll try to get to them as we're on the show. And of course, we'll give you credit for the question. So you can be a part of the rundown if you choose. Guys, I'm going to call an audible here. We're not going to worry about the NBA because we still have 2 days worth of wild card stuff to kind of get through. So we'll finish the show up with that. We did Saturday earlier on with Rod and Brandon Blakney. On Saturday, we have, on Sunday, we have 3 games on Sunday at 1 p.m. on Fox, starting off the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's start off with you, Rod. What are your thoughts on Tampa Bay versus Philly? Can Philly pull off the upset?
I think Philly's going to try to pull off the upset. I'm not sure they're going to make it. You know, they're going to try and go back to their run game. It is the playoffs, and of course, in the playoffs, you need to be able to play some great running offense. And of course, if you can run the ball, that means that you're able to burn some clock, and you're also able to keep Tom Brady off of the field. But Tom Brady is still a GOAT, although Tom Brady is missing Antonio Brown. He's missing his top wide receiver in is it Godwin? Is the
Chris
one
Godwin,
that got
yes.
hurt?
Chris Godwin
Who tore his ACL.
Yeah.
So he's missing Godwin, and but he does have Gronk, and he's got his other tight end, and hopefully Fournette can come back and contribute some good production to this offense. But I believe Tampa, in this first round, will be able to hold the Eagles off. The Eagles are 0-6 in playoff teams that they played this season during the regular season. So, the Eagles, they made a valiant effort to get to the playoffs. I just think that this will be the Eagles' last game. I think they're going to, give a heck of a shot, but I don't see the Eagles beating Tom Brady at 1 p.m. on Sunday.
Ryan, your thoughts on Eagles versus Bucks?
I think they keep it close for a half or maybe 3 quarters, but I think eventually Tampa will be too much. I think I heard earlier today I know Tampa is shorthanded, like Rod said, but this is a Eagles team that has given up more receptions and touchdowns to tight ends than anybody in the league. And Rob Gronkowski and Cameron Brate, I think, have big games for Tampa. Also, Fournette is back. I think they'll use him in the pass game some. Also, I think maybe one of the more underrated things is like Tampa still has the number one run defense in the league. I know they struggled against the Jets, but they were also banged up. They're starting to get healthy again. Shaq Barrett's back for this game. Jason Pierre-Paul. I believe Levante David is going to be back for the Bucks as well. So I think that's a big thing for the Bucks going into to this game against the league's best rush offense. So I think Tampa's going to be a little too much.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Philly feels like they're about a year ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Hurts, I was a huge fan of Jalen Hurts coming out of college. I actually thought the Patriots were going to grab him last year, and the Eagles just traded up and grabbed him before they could. I do think that I don't think Tampa's going to make the Super Bowl just because it's so hard to repeat, and they are banged up. That wide receiver room is like really hurting right now. It's literally just Mike Evans. That's all there is. I made the joke last week. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Antonio Brown's back on this team before before this is all said and done.
They'd have to bury Bruce Arians somewhere.
I think that I feel like Gronk can only get you so far right now with his age and everything else. Yeah, he might be able to get you 100 yards and like 8 catches or whatever, but is that enough to win now if he's the only target basically you have? I don't know if Tampa would lean on the run game because they're banged up too, like we mentioned, but I think they can get by Philly in this game. 4:30 p.m.
Can I make one note about the Bucks in this playoff season? Be careful with them. Everybody's doing all the things to piss Tom Brady off.
Yeah, I thought about that when I said
all this Aaron Rodgers MVP talk, Aaron Rodgers first team All Pro and all that. And that's fine. No knock to Aaron Rodgers, but just be careful with the GOAT. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I've begrudgingly over the past, really, I guess 5 years now, just kind of begrudgingly gave the respect to Tom Brady that he is yanked out of my soul for the past 20, where I just don't want to give him any credit whatsoever. And then he goes out and does whatever. And I'm like, this dude. I can't imagine a world where a person has 8 Super Bowl rings. Like, it's hard enough to imagine somebody with 7. And like, Tom Brady has 8 Super Bowl rings. Like, that sounds like one of those Wilt Chamberlain type records that'll never be broken like ever again. So I really don't want him in the Super Bowl. I'm sure that whoever has the Super Bowl, your Fox, NBC, CBS, whoever it is, I'm sure they would love to have Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
I mean, they'll take him, Aaron Rodgers, or the Rams, or the Cowboys. I mean, they'll take anybody. Look, really, in the NFC. If any of the top 4 advance, they're going to be okay.
What were you about to say, Rod?
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to add something. Although Tom Brady is the GOAT, he is a little bit older. And I'm going to be honest with you. If this defense can get back on track, guys, I'm going to tell you that is the key to getting there. Because if you remember in the NFC Championship game, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions in that game up in Green Bay in the Tundra last year. And it was the defense of the Bucks that brought them through last year. Now, and then if you go back to the year before Tom Brady came to the Buccaneers, we had Jameis Winston at quarterback. Remember, Winston was averaging 4 interceptions and 2 pick sixes a game. And when the defense was unable to hold their opponent, this Tampa Bay Buck team only lost by 3-4 points. That is it, with a quarterback and Jameis Winston throwing 2 pick sixes, maybe a total of 4 receptions in the game. So the only thing they did was say, switch out Jameis Winston for Tom Brady. And when Tom Brady came in, they were like, hopefully Tom won't screw it up. But like I said, in that NFC Championship game against Green Bay, Tom Brady almost turned into Jameis Winston, but it was a defense doing what they had done for so long in the previous year that took this Tampa Bay team to the Super Bowl. So if this Tampa Bay Bucks defense can continue to get it on track, I think as long as Tom Brady doesn't turn it over, Fournette doesn't turn it over, and maybe they try and burn some clock, let this defense do what they do, it's not far off that this Tampa Bay Buck team could get back to the NFC Championship game and possibly compete to get to the Super Bowl.
I mean that defense won them the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I mean they Brady was fine in the Super Bowl. Their offense was fine. They did enough, but they had Patrick Mahomes running for his life like nobody we've ever seen. So I mean, I agree. I mean, if the Bucs, I think it's gonna be hard to get back to that because of how banged up they've been throughout the season. But if that front seven can get pressure like they did last postseason, then they can beat anybody.
The NFL is probably the one sport other than college basketball where it's not so much who has the best record going into the playoffs, it's who's playing the hottest going in. And last year, people forget Tampa was 7-5 at one point.
They played well down the stretch.
Yeah, they got hot and just kind of carrying them all the way in. And then of course they played the Super Bowl on their home field. So I mean, you kind of got to look at these and think who's the hot teams right now. You got at 4:30 on Sunday. The Nickelodeon game, CBS and Nickelodeon. So I guess they do the thing with the slime or whatever when you score a touchdown on Nickelodeon. I don't know.
Poor Nate Burleson.
It's going to be a classic historic rivalry renewed. The San Francisco 49ers taking on Hot Rod's Dallas Cowboys. Rod, I'll let you go first here, man. What's your feelings about this game?
Hey, man, I'm nervous about this game. I'll be honest with you. This game has got me as nervous as a long-tailed cat in the room full of rocking chairs. I'm about to tell you that right now. Because, look, this Cowboys defense has not been able to handle the run the way that they need to handle the run all season long. Denver Broncos offense ran over this Cowboy defense as if we were not there. And we know that Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to have to be the man to pass 30 to 40 times. They're going to run this rock, and they're going to rely a little bit on Deebo Samuels, and this defense, man, has got to show up to play. But if they don't, it's going to be a long night in Dallas, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to be cheering for my Cowboys, but at the same time, I'm going to be having many strokes and heart attacks, probably the whole doggone game. So, but I'm just hoping it's a good game. But I'm just one of those. I'm a Cowboys fan, but I'm a realistic Cowboys fan. A lot of Cowboys fans piss me off because they say stupid things and are not realistic when it comes to football. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a realistic Cowboys fan, and if that offensive line doesn't show up to play and Smith is not playing well, 77 at left tackle, then Dak is going to have it hard on the blind side. So, I mean, I don't know which Cowboys team is going to show up. All granted, we have, 5 losses? I don't know which team is going to show up. We're a Jekyll and Hyde team sometimes, but hopefully everybody will be there. I'm hoping we do not use Michael Parsons as a rusher. I'm hoping we use him as a pure inside linebacker because I feel that the 49ers are going to run the ball. So we're going to need Parsons at the linebacker spot to help with the run and not put him on the edge to help with the pass. But that's just me. I'm not a coach in the NFL, but shoot, man, I see what's going on. But we'll find out soon enough. There's tomorrow, 4:00. I'm gonna get my ready, my car get ready. I'm gonna have everything ready at 4:00 tomorrow.
I feel like they should have Parsons shadow Samuel or something to that effect because Deebo seems kind of like almost like I don't want to say like a Christian McCaffrey type, like a Swiss Army knife type guy that does whatever, but the offense seems to run through him. So in that effect, I guess you could see the similarities there. What are your thoughts, Ryan? Because I gotta admit, I kind of want to see the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Like I want to see Chiefs Cowboys Super Bowl. That's kind of what I'm wanting. But to Rod's point, I don't know what Cowboy team's going to show up there. Like I don't know if it's the team that's dropping 50 burgers on teams or if it's the team that loses to teams they're not supposed to lose to.
Well, you said it a couple minutes ago, like the playoffs a lot of times are about the team that gets hot beforehand. And this is a 49ers team that has essentially been having to play for their playoff life for a month now. And I don't think that bodes necessarily well for the Cowboys. Now, I will say this. As somebody who, likes to partake in the gambling side of things, everybody is on the 49ers in this game. And for that reason alone, I'm not betting on either one of these teams.
It's at Dallas, right?
When everybody is on one side, it usually goes the opposite way. So I'm not touching either team in this game, and I really don't know. This is the one playoff game where I really feel like I don't know who's going to win.
I'm rooting Cowboys because, like I said, I'd rather see Dallas versus Kansas City in the Super Bowl. But yeah, I don't know. That's the one game I'm looking at on here where I'm like, that could go either way. I'm not really sure. The nightcap on Sunday at 8:15 on NBC, the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road to Arrowhead to take on Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in what could be Big Ben's final game of his career. It could be. It should be. Any chance at all the Steelers can upset the Chiefs here at Arrowhead?
Hell no.
I don't even know how the Steelers get in. Like, how
they're
did the Steelers
not. That was going to be my point. They are not a playoff team. The only reason they're a playoff team is because the Indianapolis Colts decided that bad Carson Wentz was going to show up last Sunday.
And that's on the Colts for depending on Carson Wentz to take them someplace he'd never been before. I mean, I don't even know if we really need to parse into what's happening with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shout out to Mike Tomlin, who I gain respect for daily for being able to deal with 8 years of Antonio Brown and not have anything leak out to the media regarding what may have happened in the locker room.
The Steelers' best chance in this game will be if they can run Najee Harris 40 times and their defense play okay and Ben Roethlisberger only throw the ball about 20 times, they might be able to keep it close, but they're still going to lose.
Yeah, I don't think – yeah. I mean, this seems like a 15-point win with the Chiefs.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. J.J. Watt, it's time for him to earn his money in this game right here. They paid him a lot of money and create some havoc on. I meant TJ Watt, excuse me. They paid him a lot of money to wreak havoc, and he's on his defensive side. And Patrick Mahomes, the $500 million quarterback, I want to see Watt go after Patrick Mahomes, and if Watt and that defense can make some things happen on the defensive end, the Steelers have a chance. Everybody has a chance whenever you suit up. Just for the simple fact you have to suit up. That's why you play the game. If you don't have a chance, hey, what's the point in going out there and playing the game? And you never know. Injuries can occur. I'm not hoping that anyone at all gets injured in any of these games. But as you know, when injuries happen, it changes the whole dynamic of a game. Ben Roethlisberger, he knows this is his last go-round. I'm sure he's going to be trying to give it his all. I think Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be back, if I'm not mistaken. So if Juju Smith-Schuster is back and he can have a heck of a game and him and Roethlisberger are here, and like Ron said, if they can get Harris rolled and they can run him 30 to 40 times, that means they're burning clock. That also means that the Chiefs are off the field, that the offense is off the field and sitting on the sideline. So we'll see what happens, man. But like I say, that's why you suit up, why you play the game. But if I'm a betting man, which I'm not, at least if it's not fantasy football, but if I'm a betting man, I am putting my money on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good bet to go with the Chiefs there on that one.
And I know Carol King is a huge Pittsburgh fan, and she's putting all her stuff up there. So, Carol King, good luck to you and those Pittsburgh Steelers. I hope the Pittsburgh Steelers win, because I know if they win, you're going to be baking cheesecakes, and that would be so awesome.
Hey, I keep forgetting that Carol's a cheesecake lady. Every time we bring her up, my wife wanders into the room and will give a thumbs up or something regarding the cheesecake. She's giving me the thumbs up right now. We're across the way. So yeah, we gotta talk. We gotta talk to Carol and get this cheesecake situation straightened out. Monday, 8:15 p.m. the nightcap on ABC. The Arizona Cardinals taking on the Los Angeles Rams. I'm kind of going with the Rams. I never trusted the Cardinals all year.
That's like we talked about hot. Like the Cardinals have limped into the playoffs. Like they ever since that hot start. What did they start? 7-8-0?
Something like that. And then my Panthers beat them.
10-7. Yeah. Like they just haven't played well down the stretch. And I know they beat the Cowboys, but I feel like that was just kind of a prove-it game that they felt like they needed. They lost the Seahawks last week. The Rams have brought, as much as people complained about Tampa last year, especially people in the media complaining about Tampa bringing all the star power in, man, the Rams have brought even more in. And I hear less complaining about it because they're in freaking LA. But anyway.
The Rams have to get to the Super Bowl. Actually, I think they have to try to win it for what they did. People forget all the stuff they've moved around. Like, this is go time, now.
They have no draft picks. Like, there is no youth movement ever coming for the Rams, at least at this juncture. But with
Ramsey, OBJ,
they got a lot of veteran guys on that defense. And I think, it's time for them to prove it. And I don't trust Arizona to score enough points in LA to win the game.
Rod, real quick, because we're almost up against it here. Rams, Cardinals. Your thoughts on that? Where do you think that's going to go? Because I haven't trusted the Cardinals.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I really don't know which way that one can go, and the reason that I that is both these teams are in the same division. You guys see how these divisional games go. Is that one thing is going to win, and they're playing a divisional opponent? Guess what? The other opponent wins. And that's what this is in the playoff. Like right now, I would think that the Rams would win the game. The Rams have to win the game. Sean McVay brought in Matthew Stafford. He's supposed to be his quarterback to take him to the promised land. Like you guys touched on, Ron Stone, the Rams have no more draft picks. The Rams have put all the eggs in this one team right here. So they have to win. But these Arizona Cardinals, I think Kyler Murray has something to prove. I think Cliff Kingsbury is probably going to try to do his best coaching job. I think he's under a lot of scrutiny. I'm definitely guilty of scrutinizing Kingsbury because I don't think he should have got a chance at the NFL because you couldn't win at college. Hell, I wish I'd known some people that let me go straight from high school and let me coach college or let me coach in the NFL right now. Cliff Kingsbury shouldn't be coaching in the NFL right now. He's garbage to me. So, but he may put on his best coaching clinic with the help of Kyler Murray and may pull it out. And I think J.J. Watt is supposed to be back for this game. I think some miracle came over J.J. Watt. He took some extra healing stuff and got his shoulder and everything straightened out. So he's going to be back. He's going to be ready to rock and roll. So I don't know, man. These Cardinals could win just for the simple fact that their first playoff game is against one of their divisional opponents. And this is going to be a good one. I think this is going to be a fun weekend starting at 4:30 today to watch football all weekend. It's going to be gorgeous. Only thing missing is some cheesecake. That's it.
We didn't get to touch on it. I didn't get to touch on it, but I this Raiders-Bengals game is my favorite game of the weekend.
Yeah, we had it earlier on. Yeah.
It's two quarterbacks that I enjoy watching both of them play. And it's two teams that nobody really expected to be here this season. So
the Bengals have no business being in the playoffs right now. Joe Burrow was the number one overall pick last year.
Neither do the Raiders. You think about everything.
Neither do the Raiders with what's going on with their organization.
Look, Derrick Carr, everybody, Aaron Rodgers is the runaway MVP, but these two quarterbacks should both be higher up on the MVP rankings.
Yeah, is Burrow a top 5 quarterback?
Oh,
right now? I think he's an argument for it. I mean,
let's see what he does today.
Yeah, because you know what? Honestly, those type of rankings, they're really cemented during this time of the year in the playoffs. This is when
they take
really
you're out a lot of times. Outside of the top 2 or 3, we know who the top. Rodgers, Brady, Mahomes, that's the top.
Yeah,
those are the top 3, and then after that, you kind of have discussion.
Somebody who's what's the word I'm looking for? Their legacy or whatever is going to be up over the next week or two. It's Matt Stafford. The Rams, because he's never won a playoff game. I don't even know if he's even been in a playoff game.
Aaron Rodgers needs this Super Bowl too, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the crazy thing too with all that with Green Bay, in the offseason, all this stuff with Aaron Rodgers and the media assuming he wanted more players and this, that, and the third, he could potentially go to his 3rd straight NFC championship game with the talent that's on this roster. And
but if you don't make the Super Bowl, it's a failed year.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you got 3 teams basically in the NFC that they're basically in if they don't make the Super Bowl, it's considered a failed year. The Bucs have excuses because of how banged up they are, but Brady's not going to listen to that.
Right.
It's
like the Packers. the Rams,
and Bucks. Like they're all basically in make the Super Bowl or it's a failed season. I think on the AFC side, the only team you can really say that about is the Chiefs.
Yeah, because the Chiefs basically snuck into a 13-win season. Like I think people started leaving them alone at the beginning of the year, like, oh, they're not going to make it, and then they just kind of rattled off like 8-9 wins, and next thing you know, the Chiefs are right where we kind of thought they were supposed to be. We're right up against it, guys. We've gone through 2 hours of rundown. Shout out to Ryan Stone, who came in for hour 2. Hot Rod Funderburk, who's been here the whole time. My dog, Sadie, wanted to get in on the action here. Climbed up on my lap to see what the hell's going on. Shout out to WWBG 1470 AM. All the outlets that you can get this on. You can replay this on Tobacco Radio on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook Watch. The podcast will be up a little bit later on today. Go enjoy all the stuff you got going on today. You got ACC action, hoop action, Duke and NC State at 2:00 today. You got Wildcard Weekend starting at 4:00. Carolina taking on Georgia Tech at 8:00 today. There's just a whole lot of sports going on, and that'll carry on through Sunday and into Monday. Enjoy the snow. Something's going to fall from the sky. We just don't know what exactly it's going to be and how much. So enjoy that. I see all of you went out and got your milk already because we had to go to 4 different stores looking for milk yesterday, which is weird. But enjoy your snow weekend. We'll be back with you next week. This is The Rundown.